Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to share my top 5 parlays, week 11 edition college football. As always, there is a little bit of cross-contamination. There's going to be a few NFL games slid in, sprinkled around to kind of up the overall odds, up the multiplier, things like that. But guys, let's get right into it. There's a lot of exotic stuff. Warning. A lot of exotic stuff in these parlays, a lot of weird stuff. Let's get right into it. So my first parlay, it's always going to be the safer parlay, the one you can put a lot more money onto because it's relatively supposed to be safer and a better chance of winning. I went really safe this week, so the Boise State money line versus Wyoming. I think Boise State covers the 14-point spread versus Wyoming. I'm kind of known as a Boise State expert. I've gotten them right like 6 or 7 times this year. It's ridiculous. I know this team. They're on an absolute roll right now. It's crazy. They're at home against Wyoming. Wyoming does have a good defense, but Boise State's going to win this game. Very easily. It is a Friday night game. I have them just on the money line. You parlay that with the Virginia Tech money line versus Duke. Duke is just horrific. I think Virginia Tech's around an 11-point favorite. I'm not confident in Virginia Tech's offense, so I'll just take the money line against the terrible Duke team. We've got, this is an interesting one, Wisconsin first team to score versus Northwestern. So guys, Northwestern is facing Wisconsin at 12 o'clock noon, 11 a.m. Central when the game kicks off in Madison. I'm concerned Northwestern may not even score. I think there is a legitimate chance Northwestern could get shut out. This bet, I believe, is minus 250, and you can parlay it. It's just Wisconsin being the first team to score, whether they score via safety, touchdown, field goal, whatever. If they're up 2-0, 3-0, 7-0, whatever it is, I win this bet. That's all that bet is. So Wisconsin first team to score. I'm very confident in it because I'm concerned Northwestern may not score at all. The only concern with a bet like this is if Wisconsin throws a pick six, there's a muff punt, Northwestern gets great field position. That's the only problem with this, but Wisconsin's a disciplined team. I like that bet overall. Parlay that with Ohio State money line versus Purdue. Purdue is, I think, a top 20 team in college football. I just think their luck, their overall, they've won these games, a few big upsets over Michigan State, over Iowa, 2 top 5 teams in the nation at the time of the games. I think it'd be shocking if they did it a third time in a single season, let alone in Columbus. Ohio State's 20-point favorites. I'll just take that money line again. This is a safe parlay, guys. We're being safe. And then you throw in 2 NFL games, Cowboys money line versus Falcons. This is the typical bounce back for Dallas. I love them at home. And then the Bills money line at the Jets, another typical bounce back. The Bills somehow losing last week in Jacksonville. Very easy bounce back. The only way I'd be concerned with the Jets possibly winning is if Mike White starts now, but even if Mike White starts, I don't see it. So very safe parlay. You can see the overall odds there, 6-teamer, all very high chances of winning. So that is my safe parlay. Moving on to my number 2 parlay. The first one we have Mississippi State at Auburn, the over 50. This over underline completely shocked me. I guess it was because these two teams didn't score a lot last week. But yeah, this game is like 27-24. I think I predicted it 37-34. It just feels like a higher scoring game. Mississippi State air raid offense. They throw the ball a lot, so there's going to be that ability to potentially get some big plays. 50 points for both two teams in a game that's going to be probably very competitive. This over-under is crazy. So the over clearly in that over 50. Parlay that with Northwestern. Team total under 7.5. Yeah, I hate picking on Northwestern. I don't know where they're going to score. It's going to be very tough for Northwestern to score. If Wisconsin does not give Northwestern any short fields, it's going to be so hard. And, the 7.5, that's saying Northwestern's going to have to score twice, meaning a touchdown and a field goal probably. That'd be very surprising. If Northwestern does score, I don't think they're going to score twice. So I don't think they're going to score a touchdown and a field goal. So that would be the under 7.5 hitting there. Parlay that with Western Kentucky minus 18 at Rice. I don't know who else is in on this one, but Western Kentucky scores a ton. Rice is terrible. I'm shocked this line is only 18. I could see Western Kentucky scoring into the 50s. And at that point, you only have to, hold Rice to you can let Rice score like 24 points. You still cover. You win 52-24. You still cover. I love betting. 18's a big number, but this is an offense. They score a ton of points. You got an offense that scores a ton of points. Covering 18 points is very easily, especially against a bad team like Rice. Boston College at Georgia Tech, the under 53. This seems like a low-scoring competitive game that ends 24-20. It's one of those ACC games. These offenses aren't the best. Georgia Tech scored a lot last week. They're due for a down game offensively. Love the under in this one. I'm seeing it. Very competitive game. The under. You're talking about a 24-20 type game. That's only a 44-point total. The under 53 clearly hits there. That's just a 4-teamer. You can see the overall odds on that one. I'll leave that up for a second. Moving on to my third parlay. The first one, Clemson first score touchdown versus UConn. So this bet is Clemson has to be the first team to score, and they have to score a touchdown versus UConn. You may think, well, there's a lot of variables there. To me, when you've got a game like UConn at Clemson, the skill gap and the total mismatch is so large. I'm not saying it's a complete lock, but it's almost like Clemson's going to be up 21-0 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. I know Clemson's been bad, but it seems like an easier bet where the skill gap between these two teams is so big. I think this is minus 250 or minus 260, something like that. So the first score of this game has to be a Clemson touchdown. I know it could be like, what if they stall in the red zone, they kick a field goal? I understand that. You're just betting on Clemson being so much overall dominant than this UConn team. UConn, one of the worst teams in FBS. They're not the worst team in FBS. That's UMass, but they're still really bad. So it's a very interesting bet, and a bet that is very interesting when it comes to parlaying. Alabama first score touchdown versus New Mexico State. So this one should be a little bit easier. Again, this is a bet where the first score of the game has to be an Alabama touchdown for me to win it. And New Mexico State is either the second or third worst team in FBS. So I feel a lot more confident about that one hitting than the Clemson one. But I like both of those values at like right around minus 250. Parlay both of those. The Air Force at Colorado State under 44.5. Yeah, these two teams ain't scoring much. Air Force, Colorado State should be a very competitive game, but you've got Air Force, heavy running team, gonna chew up the clock, 8 or 9 minute drives. Maybe they settle for a few field goals in those long drives. Colorado State not great on offense. The under 44.5. You gotta find games. You gotta find these little games where you can take advantage of them, especially in parlays. This is a game under 44.5. You could have a score 24-20, the under hits. You love to see something like that. Vikings +3 at the Chargers. This is a typical NFL line. To me, this game is going to be so close at the end. The Vikings are always in close games. They lost a close game last week against Baltimore. So are the Chargers. This game's going to come down to the wire. I'm basically betting that even if the Chargers win, it's going to be by 3 points or less. I honestly think the Vikings could win this game outright. They very well could, so I think it's good value. Vikings +3 at the Chargers, and that's just the overall odds on that 4-team parlay. That is my third parlay. Moving on now to parlay number 4, we have the UCF at SMU under 61. So UCF, without their starting quarterback, is really kind of a run-heavy, defensive-minded team now. You're getting a lot of unders hitting. The reason this number is 61 is due to SMU's offense, but overall, 61 is a lot of points. And UCF is a team, they want to grind it out. They want to keep the game close, lower scoring with their backup quarterback. SMU, Tanner Mordecai, they score a bunch, but 61 is too much for me. I was looking at this game. I saw it. I was like, man, UCF, they really haven't been scoring. They haven't been giving up much recently. That's good value. 61. I like the under in that one with the UCF team that doesn't give up many points. App State -22.5 versus South Alabama. Get in on App State right now. They're on a run. Boise State and Appalachian State, two group of 5 teams that are absolutely destroying everyone. Boise State -14 is a lock against Wyoming. Appalachian State -22.5 is a lock against the terrible South Alabama team this weekend. And get in on Appalachian State this weekend. Purdue at Ohio State, the over 61.5. I love the over in this game. Purdue's a team, they can throw the ball. Ohio State's going to give up some points. I see Ohio State giving up 24 to 28 points. And the Buckeyes, they need to get back on track offensively. Ryan Day struggling to call plays right now. Get back to running the ball. This team, any week, they can put up 50 points very easily. 61.5 is good value. This game could be competitive throughout much of the first half, and then Ohio State maybe pulls away in the second half. I like Ohio State to score 40s, maybe 50s. I like Purdue to at least get 3 touchdowns with that offense and with David Bell, things like that. Great value on the over here for a 3:30 ABC game. Texas -30.5 versus Kansas. I talked about this earlier in the week. It's just simply not enough points. Kansas is so bad. I understand people are going to be like, Texas has struggled this year. I don't think it matters. I mean, Texas is at home. They're going to want to get back on track. They're going to want to destroy Kansas. This game has 52-7 written all over it, folks. And the thing is, Vegas can't put the spread at like 38 or 39. They just can't do that. You know, you're setting up for Kansas to cover, but it's just like, it's a tough game to put a spread at, and they put it at 30.5, and it's just Kansas is even worse than that. They're just too bad. They're just so bad. They are the worst Power 5 team. They're really bad. 30.5 is not enough. I'll take Texas. And then the Utah State team total under 24.5 at San Jose State. This San Jose State defense is unbelievable. This is a total no-fly zone. We saw them shut down Carson Strong last week. San Jose State and Troy, two unbelievable. These defense, they get no credit. San Jose State has an elite defense. Troy has an elite defense. Utah State 24.5. I know they've scored some whatever. They're under that. Give me a break. At San Jose State, you're going into the no-fly zone. You're not getting over 20. You're not scoring 24.5. You're not getting even over 24. Give me the under in that one. So there is the overall parlay number 4. 5 total picks right there. The overall odds as you can see them. And then my fun parlay number 5, Alabama to win by 43 or more. I believe this is like minus 280. The overall spread in this game is Bama minus 51.5. They're facing New Mexico State. Remember, I do not feel comfortable Bama covering 51.5 just because they're probably going to be up to like 38-0 at half, and then they're just going to run the ball. But 43 seems more doable, so I like that. You know, in my fun parlay, Western Kentucky money line versus Rice. Obvious, Western Kentucky is going to win that game. Boise State money line versus Wyoming. Love Boise State. I'm just kind of compiling a bunch of, heavy favorites here to try and get the multiplier. Georgia money line at Tennessee. Not much that needs to be talked about in that one. Tennessee, good offense, but it would be shocking if Georgia lost to Tennessee. Michigan State money line versus Maryland. Honestly, I think Maryland keeps this game close, but I think Michigan State wins the game. And then we've got TCU plus 13 at Oklahoma State. So I just cannot trust that Oklahoma State offense enough to see them covering a 13-point spread versus TCU. TCU had their big win, their big upset win last week at home against Baylor. But it's just, I think TCU keeps this game close. Again, that Oklahoma State offense is telling me they're not going to cover this 13-point spread. They don't have a good enough offense. They do have a good defense, a veteran defense, a lot of fifth-year seniors, things like that. But 13 points is simply too much for that offense to cover. And then the Colorado at UCLA under 56.5. The UCLA, I just don't know where their heads are at right now. Colorado's a team, they don't score a lot, but they kind of have a decent defense. I could see the under in this game. I actually really like the under 56.5 in that Colorado UCLA game. Again, where is UCLA's heads at? They're really not playing for anything at this point in the Pac-12. Give me the under 56.5 there. And then that is the overall final total for the 7 picks for my kind of fun parlay, as you guys can see right there. Kind of just a mixed match of different things. But guys, that is going to do it for this edition of my top 5 betting parlays, college football week 11, NFL week number 10. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.